we're going to edit that out.
Yeah, I got it.
Thank you. Anyway.
By the way, I will never cut anything out at your request. Your mic isn't even on.
So, from Indianapolis, Indiana, this is Truth Egg.
One of the things that I've been thinking about a lot lately over the last 20 years is the impact of the internet.
Oh, yeah. Okay. On humanity.
It'll pass.
It's really not here.
It does seem like a fad. We'll see if it takes off.
I remember when...
There's only going to be 10 computers in America by the year 2000.
Wasn't it Vice President Gore who wanted to be president who suggested that he created the internet?
Yep.
Yeah. So
he did.
a while ago.
Yes. Although I believed that he simply claimed credit as being part of the people that built the foundation.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to.
Yeah,
no. But I believed that for 20 years.
I did too.
Until I found out that much like everything I've believed is not actually what happened.
I think it was more like as a senator, he helped to spearhead
exactly.
the bill that established the funding and the strategy around it.
Right.
And by the way, I don't think he was wrong.
No, I don't. I wasn't
in how it was phrased,
but I was just kind of giving a reference on the time point for the internet.
So, do we credit him with creating the internet as a shorthand? Is that
does that? Do we need to? Can we move on?
Okay, moving on. Moving on.
I will never move on at your request, Aaron.
I've got all kinds of games I'm looking to play here. This will be fun.
Boy, this is going to be great. Let's go with the internet and humanity. Good, better, and different. Let's start there.
The reason why I think about this is because we just celebrated Christmas. And one of the things that didn't happen this year for the first time ever is nobody became engulfed in their phones.
How did that happen?
It's a very strange phenomenon. I have no idea.
Was it intentional or just happenstance?
I think it was happenstance.
Do you mean like during an event or just
during the
days of Christmas?
During the any of the times that my immediate nuclear family was celebrating or spending time together, nobody got stuck on their phones.
Wow, that's unusual.
And then I looked this up and I learned that apparently internet usage, which is tracked by, internet companies, drops dramatically in most Christmas celebrating countries.
I didn't know that.
In Europe and the US, Australia, all these countries on the 24th and 25th of December.
That sounds like we're making a conscious effort.
Sounds to me like the retailers aren't doing a good enough job of bombarding us with
push notifications.
They can't if you're not online.
Yeah, true. I do notice, it's interesting to hear you say this. Most of the adults in my family stay off their phones on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. The kids, however, not a chance. And when I say the kids, college students, high school students, if they're bored, that thing is right there, right?
Yep.
In other words, they're not excited about the gifts or the food, or maybe it's the lull in between. So they pull out their phones and they disappear. And they really do disappear. I mean, they're checked out.
Yeah, and the disappear, I was going to say, with our family, it's one of our favorite points of the evening is when we all pile up on the corner couch and we all have whatever our device is, and we start sharing with each other. My son will show the videos he's working on. The youngest will show the games that he's playing.
That's cool.
And it's a little more social, but it's interactive, which makes it feel a lot better because plenty other times, especially the kids, just checked out.
Oh, yeah. They're in their own world.
It's the one thing I worry about with them is screen time.
Yeah.
That's the only thing?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we can talk about that.
Content? Are you worried about that? What they have access to?
Yes, but because it's so open and because we talk about it and because they're relatively young, I'm a little less worried. Once the older gets into puberty, we're going to have to
show them how to find porn.
Without a driver's license.
They can find that now, easy.
You'd be surprised.
You're right. I find that my friends that have children that are in college, they're concerned about them because maybe they spend way too much time on it, or maybe they're lost in that world.
Yeah.
We have a nephew that got lost in that world his freshman year of college and had to drop out. I feel like there's this huge disconnect from the way I grew up versus how those kids today grow up.
You didn't have the internet.
We did not have the internet. That is 100% true. We had arcades, but we had things that you had to go to. So you had to get on your bicycle and ride to it. There was a certain amount of physical effort that was required if you wanted to participate in those activities. You couldn't just sit down on your couch or your chair or go in the bathroom and light up your iPhone or your iPad. It didn't exist, right?
Yeah, so you can get lost in a video game.
Oh, heavens, yeah.
But if you have to
I got to leave.
Travel to get to
I got to
it.
get back home. So I'm not there for
Nobody's there to
6
bring
hours.
you food.
That's right.
I read a lot when I was little, so it was no different.
Yeah.
And my grandfather...
Yeah, we need to ban books. These kids are getting lost in them. It's terrible.
They're reading words we don't want them to know. My grandfather was very active. He built the first computer network in a government hospital back in Bethesda in
Wow.
early 70s, late 60s, early 70s.
The era of the supercomputers back then.
He bought Apples and networked them all through the labs. I grew up with Apple computers from the age of about, I think, 8 or 9. So I grew up playing computers. During summers, I'd get to go to my grandparents' house. We'd go to these trade show things, buy games. It was amazing. And it feels like I was about a decade ahead in exposure because of him. Didn't appreciate it. Just thought that was just the most interesting thing to do. But man, it greased rails for me going into adulthood and just being comfortable and competent. And
yeah, I think that's an issue. Excuse me. The competency, I feel like when I meet these teenagers, 17, 18, 19 years old, they feel like they're so far regressed from where I was at that age. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like when I look at a 20-year-old, I think when I was 20, I was a different age.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 20 looks so different on one of these kids.
They moved out at 16, had 2 jobs. Apparently I grew up in the Depression.
Walk uphill to school.
But it was, I was thinking about this holiday experience being so low internet. And a couple of years ago, or maybe it was only 1 year ago, one of my daughters was really addicted to this app called, I don't know, it's some app that, Be Real is what it is. So you have to take a picture when it tells you to and send it to someone who then has to take a picture when it tells them to, because they just received your picture. You have to react in this real time mode. And so we're talking, Kaya and I are having a conversation. Then all of a sudden her hand's up, phone in selfie position, and she just completely blacks out of the conversation.
Yeah.
And she has, she just departs from the conversation and participates in this app. And I was like, Kaya, I was talking. And she was completely oblivious.
Yeah.
Completely oblivious.
Wow.
So, and that moment really got me to think. I started to do research on that phenomenon, which is which was actually a product of the like button.
Oh yeah.
And it was invented back in 2007, and it changed the world.
It did. I remember, pardon me, during the Super Bowl, down on the canal, they had the Mario Brothers on their phone. As you walked, you could virtually grab one of those tokens and get rewards.
Oh, like Pokemon Go.
Yes. Yeah.
For Mario,
and that was going on downtown along the canal during the Super Bowl, which was 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I guess, 12 years ago. And people were literally falling in the canal because they were looking at their phone and not paying attention around anything that was around them.
And then it got used to set up people for robbery.
It did. No, you're 100%
Go.
correct. Yes, 100%.
You create Pokemon points.
Yeah, that's right.
And then you just wait for people and you steal the iPhone you know they have because that's how they got
yeah,
there.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So it does make me pause because I hear what you're saying about your daughter, and I see it with our nieces and nephews. And then I walk outside and I see people crossing crosswalks with their head down, looking at the phone, oblivious to the fact that they're about to get crushed by a car because they're not paying attention. But I see it everywhere. I mean, everywhere.
Part of me wonders, so, right, we had a childhood largely free. Now, again, I had computers early, but it was never a huge, because there was only so much you could do. So it was only a component. We had to adopt the technology as it was created. I mean, we all remember before Google, before Facebook, before iPhones.
Yeah.
And then you have, I would say, the kids who are in their 20s, early 20s, where they had to be the first generation to figure out how to grow up with it.
Yeah.
And it was terrible.
It was awful.
Well, because you've got children versus the greatest designers and engineers that, I was going to say, I guess the world has to offer, who all figured out the ways that they can command attention and create dependency, serve up dopamine, and turn that into some sort of profit.
Yeah.
And so these kids got experimented on for the last, I'd say, 15 years.
It's still going on.
Well, it is, but then we have my boys growing up with it where there's always been a phone around.
Right.
Everybody has a phone. They have a phone. My oldest has a laptop, which he prefers. And I see them struggling with some of the attention pieces of it. Like it's too interesting. I feel this way about video games. Until you've played a modern video game, you don't realize how dopey movie and TVs is.
Yeah.
It's like, you can sit there and have somebody just tell you a story, or you can be in the movie.
Or you can get your 2-minute fix just grabbing a 2-minute piece off YouTube or wherever the content is, right?
Yeah. So I was going to make that leap. Oh,
Sorry.
You should make that leap, but what I would say is that 2-minute fix, it never stops there.
No, that's my point.
The hack.
It just it grabs you, and then 3 hours go by, or 4 hours, or 6 hours, or you go down the rabbit hole with whatever got you to that 2-minute video.
And then you start to think that this is the real world.
Oh my God! Yes.
And depending on the platform, it's really just the world that is engineered to get you to consume in one direction or another.
So do we think? Listen, we can't survive without technology today, right? I can't even get in my car without my freaking phone.
You can't now because of technology.
That's my point. So because of that, how do you raise your children in an era of tech, hoping they don't become what we're talking about, that they become more of what we were at that age?
I'll let Aaron answer this because he knows.
I don't know, but I have. So have either of you, and I'm looking at you because I expect that you may have.
For the listener, he's looking at Daniel. That would be me.
He's the dark one.
The dark one.
Dark on the inside.
Yeah, dark on the inside.
The book I'm thinking of, I'm blanking on the author's name, but it's called Amusing Ourselves to Death. And it was written back in the 80s, about the 60s and 70s, and was explaining what was going to happen because of televisions being in American homes.
I know the book you're talking about.
And specifically what was happening with what seemed to be informational content that was now becoming entertainment. And how even back then the networks were realizing, hey, we can tell the news, but we'd be saying the same thing that everyone else is saying, or we can make news by creating pseudo events, by adding all sorts of speculation. Now, of course, that's called lying, and you would be fined for it.
That's a technical term.
So what you do is you bring in experts to make crazy claims so that you're not liable. You keep them covered with your insurance. You make sure that legally you're not considered an information source.
Yep.
Nobody on CNN, MSNBC, et cetera, they're all personalities, celebrities?
Personalities.
Well, no, but it's a specific class of
sorry.
like they're an entertainment personality.
They're not. Right.
And basically the argument for the just constant horse shit and manufactured fakeness that is our media is that you shouldn't believe this in the first place. That's the legal defense.
Yeah,
right.
and that was the legal defense for Fox News, wasn't it?
It was.
Well, but that's been established for 20 years.
Yeah, but Fox
that's why
News
none
used
of them,
that as their defense during this
No,
last.
they all have.
Well, true.
Every time.
Well-
the only reason we heard about Fox News is because all the other media was crowing about it.
Yeah, that's right.
Because they thought they won until everybody abandoned them because
Yeah.
they're all fucking full of shit. Sorry for that.
It's true though.
Yeah, not that Fox is better.
So-
It reminds me. Well,
So
we'll talk about vaccines later.
Yeah, we'll come back to abortion. So, Aaron, tell us about who's not sponsoring us today.
because this is yummy.
Well, so this is
Maybe.
Daniel's.
No, I like this.
Grab that bottle for me, will you?
I like this.
Yeah, just so we can see it.
That's a good one.
The listener,
Frank August.
Frank August
By
is
the way,
not.
there is a camera.
Frank August is not our sponsor today.
Yeah,
But
we are
boy,
not today.
does
We are
Frank
not sponsored
make a nice
by
bourbon.
Delicious.
Brought to you by anything besides Frank August.
I love the color, by the way.
It's a delicious bourbon. The label is simple, so you can see the juice on the inside, and it's
It looks like a
could be
sophisticated.
delicious, but I can't really tell.
It looks like a sophisticated mini decanter. The bottle
Yeah,
itself.
this is one of those bottles you keep.
Yeah, for sure.
You got a nice
and refill with Evan Williams.
anything you want to keep cold, Tommy.
I love it.
So yeah, thanks. No thanks to Frank.
Yeah.
Frank
And
Ocean
we
or
are
whatever the
also
fuck his
not
name is.
sponsored by Hard
Frank,
Truth.
if you're listening to this, if you want to send us a case, God bless. In the Christmas spirit, that is. Just saying.
Okay.
I want to go back to the
Well,
kids.
to be fair, we're also not sponsored by Nike and Microsoft. And
I noticed that you went right to Oregon with your sponsorship. You went
Yeah,
right
he
back
sure
to the
did.
home. You went
I
right
still
to
don't-
Phil Knight
went
and
to the
Nike.
home.
listen, when you grow up there, it's just a Nike store. You don't realize
there's
it was.
nothing else.
You don't realize it was the Nike store for like a decade.
It was the
Yeah.
Nike store.
That was
Yeah,
awesome.
For
Nikes
sure.
were just what was around.
And by the way, I'm pretty sure I could have gotten away without buying a ticket to the public transit there in Portland.
If you're in the downtown Mile Square, transit is free.
I was just
Oh,
going to say
well,
it is free. I
did not know that.
We have a nephew out there, and that is what I hear all the time.
Although if you're brazen enough in Portland, really anything's free.
Except for Starbucks coffee.
No, I mean you can just take shit.
Yeah.
Turns
All
out,
right.
well, because
All
of
right.
all the Grubhub and
Yeah, yeah.
pickups and stuff,
Yeah.
people just walk in and just take whatever's
just
So
walk
on
out
the
with
it
it.
counter.
helps to be clever.
So they're misguided, or they're just cheats, or liars,
I'm
or
not
all
there.
the
I don't
above?
know. I don't know who they are.
He knows nothing.
I just know that my
Got it.
coffee never showed up.
When we hired young people to come work at the office, I never thought I would have to have these conversations that I've had over the last several years. One is you can't watch a video while you're working. Literally, the phone is up, and that fix that we're talking about.
Oh yeah, it's like
What-
listening to talk radio
Right.
was
I
30
don't-
years ago.
I don't have an issue with earbuds. If you want to listen, I listen to music when I work, and I get that. So some people love it, and some people can't handle it. They
Hang
don't
on, you're
like
talking
it.
about playing a video out loud around other people?
Oh yeah,
Oh no,
No,
that's
that's
yeah, I know.
preposterous.
Yeah.
Well, it happens.
what kind of monster would do
Or
that?
so then you say something, and this happened a couple
Or
years
a
ago.
speakerphone call in public?
I said you can't watch videos as you're back here working. You can listen to music all day long. I
You
don't
can
care.
listen to a video and
Right.
make sure I don't see it.
Listen to a podcast. That's fine, but qualifiers.
I
you
own
can
your
listen
eyes.
to a podcast, but you cannot get so engrossed in the podcast that you neglect the work. Right?
Oh, fair.
So it's very fair. So I had this conversation. The next day I walk in the office. The phone is sitting up in front of the individual. The video is playing. The earbuds are in, so there's no volume. And I tapped her on the shoulder and I said, "What are you doing?" "Well, you said I could listen." I said, "You're watching." "Yeah, I'm really not watching. I'm just really listening." I'm like, "No, you're watching. Turn it off." And I remember going back to my desk and I talked to Lori and I'm like, I can't believe I'm having this conversation. Like, this just seems so common sense.
You would think it's common sense,
You would think, but it's not.
but I wouldn't. No,
You
there. What you find is that common sense is something that apparently changes
Well, I think it changed with the advent of the internet because I feel like that there's a common practice that becomes common sense. And the common practice is it's socially acceptable for me to be on this thing all the time. I can be in a restaurant. I can be at a play. I could be at a friend's house. I could be at a Christmas party.
Yeah, especially your peer group. It's normal.
It's totally cool, right? So kids that are growing up like that today, they don't have anyone telling them that you shouldn't do that at the place of work, or you shouldn't be, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but you should be present, not the opposite of that. And it's not present, but you've got to be there, right?
So let me give you just a little bit of history.
Please.
I've written a long article about this a year ago, and the first thing that happened in this context is that the internet was invented. That didn't change a whole lot. It started to create access to information in similar to libraries that just had a different format.
I would agree.
And there were new things that you could do that you couldn't just do with a book, right?
And it was a minority of people that had access at that level. I got introduced to bulletin boards.
I remember
fairly
those.
young.
Yeah, not everybody had
but
access.
Nobody would have done that.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
This was pre-pedophile.
This is pre-Amazon, the way we know
This is
Amazon.
pre-AOL.
Yeah, right. You're right.
And then eventually the computer became something that you would have in your home. That didn't change a lot about lifestyle. It started to introduce, gaming machines and all this kind of stuff.
And much like a phone, it was the home's computer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
right.
it was tied to
It was
the
our
building.
computer.
Yeah.
Right.
And then people had shared email addresses, which is ridiculous if you still have that, by the way.
Well, so is paying for an email address.
No, that's what adults do.
Do you not pay for an email
Let
address?
me rephrase that. Yeah, of course I do. I've got a server at the office, so yes, right? So, yeah. But when you're paying for your AOL.com, have a Google account for
fuck
free.
that.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
So-
You're paying for an AOL email address.
But there was a time when that
That's
wasn't
right.
an option.
No,
So-
that was the option.
But if you waited long enough, you might get 160 hours for free in the mail
That's
on a
right.
CD-ROM.
That's right.
So,
Oh, God, I remember that.
So the computer, okay, so fine. It made it was like a tool. It made some things possible, but it didn't really change life.
It was a novelty.
And then when the iPhone was invented,
That changed everything.
that changed everything.
That was 2004, by the way, for our listeners. The first
20
iPhone,
years ago.
iPhone 2004. Think about the technology.
About
that's
the same
happening.
age as Google, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. Think about the technology in those 20 years.
So when the smartphone, starting with the iPhone, was
Let
initially
him cook, Michael.
I know. Look at him. Look at him. He's
Let him
simmering.
cook.
He's
Come on,
simmering.
Daniel.
Go, B.
when it was
Get out.
initially invented, there were other smartphones. There was the BlackBerry, which kind of made email like
the
real
way,
time.
that was
I
my
had
favorite.
the Windows brick.
The
Big silver
yes,
brick.
yes.
Because I could listen
Yes.
to audiobooks. I could
We'll
take
get back
notes.
to you on this, but
No,
I'm just
don't
saying out
worry about
loud,
me.
the BlackBerry was my all-time favorite tool for work. The keypad, I loved it. I mean, I loved that
That
thing.
was the first generation of people who started acting socially unacceptable.
That's right, because
Because
they
they
had their
were
head down.
always on
That's
it.
right. I
And
was one
but
of
the
them.
ones who were good at it could type in their pocket.
I could never do that.
T9.
I could never.
I got good at T9. I could do it
yeah,
without
yeah.
with one hand,
Yeah.
no eyes.
Wow.
Oh, I had a sidekick
All right,
pager
so go back
back in the
to
day.
go back
Oh,
to
nice.
your smartphones.
So
iPhone's
then,
out. BlackBerry's
so
out.
the smartphone, which the iPhone expanded
Yeah.
the definition of smartphone.
So now a computer in your hand.
That was in 2004, and then in 2007, or it was about 2005 when they started tinkering with the idea of liking things. I think
Yeah.
YouTube might have been the
Yeah.
first one to use the feature. But when Facebook rolled out liking
Yep.
in 2007, that started the process of identifying ways to have addiction associated with the way that you use technology.
Yeah.
Because now you have a desire to achieve a number of likes, or you have a notification that comes from that like. There's some kind of reaction.
Yeah.
And it's called the semantic web. So the semantic web is when the web interacts or reacts to you, and
Right.
you react in return.
Right.
And as soon as that was created, everything about technology, especially associated with social media, But if you look at other products, even project management software has liking features. Everything has kind of, been built
Everything
around
is, yes.
this semantic feature.
Yeah.
And of course, liking is the very simplest form, but
Right.
there are so many ways that our software, it gives us a notification and beckons us to react to it with something. At least the simplest thing, like a like, because a comment that takes effort, but a like that's instantaneous,
It's instant gratification, right?
and that has caused this series of events to embed addiction into the way that software is designed.
So let's talk about AI and how this
Please.
is percolating on the fringe.
Fuck your like button. Just go ahead, Michael.
Well, okay. So
go ahead.
Well, here's what I have to say about AI.
Yeah, I feel like you're going. Well, and listen, I'm willing. Like I said, let him cook. He's going somewhere with the like button thing.
No, I'm done.
I feel like he's worked really hard on this. Let him have it.
I'm so sorry, Daniel. I'll come back to AI later.
We will come back to
no,
AI.
here's what I want to
Get the Staples like button. I need that like button. Go ahead.
I've finished my point.
Okay.
It's a setup.
Yeah.
It's a setup. Now you get to talk about AI.
AI scares me.
Why does it scare you?
It scares me because it's unbelievable, meaning unbelievably powerful, and yet it scares me because I don't know if we know how to harness it.
Okay. And
Genuinely. And even the creators of AI, go listen to the guy over at Google and the one at Apple. They'll tell you they are genuinely concerned about the genie out of the
there
bottle.
are many concerns and valid
Third
ones.
world countries.
There's never been a movie about how great it's going to be when AI becomes sentient.
No.
But how is I guess there's an alternate side to this topic of AI. AI is suddenly in the attention span of everyone, but it has been around for a really long time and in different forms.
Correct.
And it's been called at times machine learning. But if you notice recently, machine learning, the term machine learning has just dropped off, and now everybody's saying AI.
Everyone says AI.
Large language model being the, I think, maybe another strata of inside baseball.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're doing is you're using massive computing power to predict patterns.
Yes.
Based on existing patterns, what's the next pattern? Which, Daniel, you were the first person who really helped me dial in with, like, AI is terrible at being creative because it's always derivative. And I think my response to you was, but have you met people?
But AI,
Because you're right. It is underwhelming in its ability to create, but in its
Not
ability
anymore.
but in its ability to replicate or to build off of pattern, it's better than a person.
60 Minutes had an interview with a guy from Google a year or two ago. It's probably closer to 2.
Which one?
I can't think of his name.
Okay.
He's the head cheese over there for AI.
Specifically over AI.
Oh, specifically over AI.
Okay.
You can pull it up, Daniel.
I have a computer.
Jamie, would you bring that
I'll
up?
have our
Would you
research
gra-
team.
would you
I'll
grab
have our
Young
research
Jamie.
team.
Everyone needs a young
The
Jamie.
host from 60
And a
Minutes
Derek.
was talking, and he said, ask our chat box, whatever they called their AI platform.
They
Ask
call
him
it a
something.
chat box.
So they said, ask him something. And said, name me a book by so-and-so. Not only did it name all the books by the author, but it created its own content. It created its own book right then and there. It was 60 some odd or 80 some odd pages, and it read beautifully. It was pure fiction, though.
Well, hang on.
So when you talk about
what you just
creating-
described was that didn't make any sense.
So-
You said name a book by an author,
Right.
And then
And
it
it
went
named-
sideways and started writing.
It did two things. It named all the books by the author, and it had created its own book.
Was it asked to?
No, it's
Yeah, that's
learning.
weird.
And the gentleman from Google.
So his name is Jeffrey Hinton.
Thank you.
He
Oh, that is
was,
not who I thought it was.
interviewed in October of 2023 on
There you
60
go.
Minutes.
Thank you.
That's
There
the
you go.
guy.
Thank you. That's the guy. That book was created by AI on its own, and that's what he was talking about. That AI is teaching itself, or their chat box, their superpower computer, is communicating in ways that they never programmed it for. It's learning on its own.
Oh, yeah.
And creating, this is the important part, creating on its own, right? So when we talk about creativeness, there's something going on over there. There's something being created. It may not be creative in the aspect of art, but I don't know, a book is art, isn't it?
No, I don't
Maybe?
disagree that listen, this is way overconfident in this statement.
I like it already.
It's derivative based on
Of course it is.
past patterns.
Yeah, of course.
But my next question would be, but what isn't?
Yeah, no, it's a fair
Right.
point.
I mean,
right.
Austin Kleon, some people are like him. He wrote a book many years ago called How to Steal Like an Artist.
Oh,
And the
I know what
whole
you're talking about.
the whole point of the book was like, listen, everybody who makes stuff just takes stuff from everywhere
right,
else.
It's been tweaked.
The thing you're looking for is, can I make a unique contribution with the combination of things around me?
Right.
And that should be the standard that most artists hold themselves to, not can I have an idea nobody's ever had, because good luck.
Right.
So Salvador Dali was an artist who created the, kind of the.
He is getting this from a laptop, by the way.
Yeah.
No.
Daniel
This is
is
Daniel's
not the
super-
smart.
this
This is not
Daniel's
tall, dark,
supercomputer.
handsome, and smart.
This is tall, dark, handsome, supercomputer Daniel.
and it's maybe real intelligence. It seems real to me. But he was, I can't find the quote, but basically he says at some point, I'm the first one to ever come up with a soft clock. So his famous, paintings of like these clocks that are sort of contorting into different parts of reality and so forth. And this is what I would say about AI is that with AI, Salvador Dali makes a point. The first one to ever come up with a concept usually is someone that can bend the imagination because they have an artistic mind, but humans are similarly derivative. But so far, and I know this will change over time, so far AI just comes up with versions of the shit that somebody already came up with.
Right.
It might be original in a sense of, it is an original generation.
There
of
is not
something.
a copy of this. But that's a really good point, because with AI, everything, at least with the tools that I use on a daily basis, my ability to prompt is the limiting factor. There isn't anything I can't accomplish with AI, but there's almost everything that I don't understand. Even programming, one of the things that I ran into for a few months was I like to use Claude for coding, but I'm not I'm not a strong coder. I used to be. Well, that's not. Anyways, but I use Claude for coding. But the problem is, because it's coding in languages that I'm not proficient in, when I make changes, it can't just give me snippets and go ahead and replace these 3 lines in the thousands of lines of code. It's like, no, I need you to just go ahead and rewrite the whole file.
Do the whole thing for me.
Whole file,
Why
top
don't you
to
just
bottom.
tell me what the code should be?
Yeah, it's like, no. Don't give me updates. I need a new, complete, thorough, edited, all of that.
Yeah.
And the amount of energy it takes, it really feels like a parent with a dumb child, which is what I assume my parents always felt like. With the, not only do I have to answer your question, I now have to start over and explaining the context in which your question was answered.
Ground zero.
And that's exhausting.
Yeah, it is.
So do you think that that's going to go away for AI? Do you think that the difficulty level that you're describing is there's so much dependency on human intervention for it to do what we want it to do?
No, because AI will do whatever it
It'll get better.
There isn't anything I think that it isn't capable of, but the prompting is the limitation. I have, and I know you have as well, I have found, especially with like content creation, anything creative, whether it's writing, art, etc., the limitation is my ability to describe what I want. And my weak-ass descriptions are what produce mediocre content. Having written a book, having written lots of articles and things using AI as in some form or function, I'll get crap out by putting in very little effort. What's interesting is by the time I get a good product, the amount of time I've invested in it is not significantly less than
Than
what
if you would have done it yourself.
Than what if I had learned the information myself.
Yeah. If you had the skill that
The
you're
scale,
seeking.
Yeah, the scale is interesting because once I learn how to frame prompts, or once I train an AI to answer prompts always under a certain context, then it gets really interesting because it gets efficient, it gets fast.
Yeah.
But
Well, so when AI started becoming this hot topic, people were saying, well, in the future, there will be prompt engineers, and that's the job that's going to be created by AI. And I laughed at that even then, because I thought, well, that's like saying in the future there will be professional computer users, and that's fucking everybody. And
I say
okay,
no,
fine,
no, no,
Aaron.
No. I think I see your point. I'm not disagreeing. I was resistant to it because the difficulty of prompting is so much harder than learning the basic coding that I'm trying to do.
But think about it this way.
But your point is the curve.
There
the curve
are
will quickly make that.
In my business,
Hey, dum-dum, I know what you're asking.
I own an
It'll get better
advertising.
and faster.
I own an
it
advertising
does.
agency, and in my business, there are graphic designers, and then there are copywriters, and then there are project managers, and everything else is some variation of one of those roles for the most part, strategists, whatever. And every single one of them is essentially an expert prompter on a computer. They use a computer to apply that skill. So in other words,
well, now you're talking about a craftsman and tools.
exactly. So I think that AI is more like a screwdriver than it is a CNC machine.
Except for that, unlike a CNC machine, AI gets smarter on its own.
Well, there's plenty of
CNC machines don't
except-fors.
get smarter.
Yeah,
on their
I
own,
agree.
right? I've got to input the data, the delta.
So I'm going to push back on smarter. It gets more.
Okay, what word
so
would you like to
a
use?
CNC
No.
machine
I'm saying it
can't-
gets more, but
No, it
smarter
does.
is not.
Yeah, so what word would you use?
No, I'm just the word I'm using is more.
More.
It gets more.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
More
AI
efficient,
gets
more.
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe if that's what you're prompting and engineering it to do. But
Imagine a CNC machine with a more sophisticated computer that
Well,
can
that's
be.
that's coming.
Right.
I mean, it's inevitable.
So-
It's coming.
So
it has happened.
in other words, a
It is
CNC
happening.
machine can also get
Correct.
smarter.
It can, with the use of AI.
Well, hang on. A CNC machine doesn't get smarter because it is an executable tool.
Right.
It is it's not a problem-solving tool.
AI.
So a CNC machine will do exactly what you tell it to do, but it will not do anything you don't tell it to do, right?
Right.
Am I
Absolutely.
guessing?
Correct.
You
No,
know
you're
better
spot
than
on.
I do.
That's 100%
So
correct.
to your point, the AI piece is about the learning curve, and
But isn't
I fell apart. Go ahead.
Aren't all of these things just a collection of screwdrivers?
Sometimes.
I
don't
mean, when
agree
people say
always,
ones
though.
and zeros, that's the
Yeah.
simplest
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
So the way
code.
that the binary system works is that you basically have an on or an off
off.
switch.
That's right.
For any given thing.
Hey,
And
bro, it's just atoms.
yeah, exactly. It's very very
We're
simple.
all just atoms. They're-
Except for-
everything is the
but
same.
you have countless on and off switches, and it amounting to what in effect becomes this very complex computer. And so your CNC machine is just some of those on and off switches. They won't be on when you tell it to be off,
Right.
but you're adding so many things to it by
Well, and the CNC
incorporating-
machine will do exactly.
Let me help
like
you
it-
out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Autonomous driving. It's out. GM's got it. Ford's got it. Tesla's got it. BMW's working on it.
I was going to say Tesla's the only one that works.
Tesla's the only one that works across all
I've been watching
roadways.
Waymo videos lately, and they're just all driving into traffic.
and that's yes, different technologies are being used, right? What's happening and what I believe it was Ford that came out and said they are using AI for their autonomous driving. So they're using AI to gather and then allowing AI to do more with that information. In other words, AI is giving the directive to what to do to the automobile.
Is that the right way to frame it, though? Is AI giving the directive, or is AI a place where the data is being collected and utilized?
I would say it's a combination of both. So, for
He's a
example,
computer scientist now.
and for example, you hop in the car, you hit
I
that.
love our confidence.
You hit that autopilot. That car takes off, and it's reading stoplights, and it's navigating where it can pass, and it passes cars and gets back in the other lane. It's learning as it's doing the actual task. And so that is being dumped into a database, right, as you're describing. But in the very same breath as it's gathering that data, it's executing on that data in the very same moment. So it's doing or giving direction as well as
Listen,
capturing.
I already have a robot vacuum. and
It's dumb as shit.
I hate that thing. I don't like mine. I hate it.
It's not great.
It
It's not
sweeps up
going
the
to do
cat
it.
poop and drags it across.
It's not going to do a better job, but let me
No,
tell you,
no,
it is learning.
It
the
is.
Oh, and wait to
space.
hear about what it does with the human poop.
Oh my God! Oh God, help us!
can't wait.
But
And by the way, is there any autonomous driving that isn't based on Tesla because all of their software is open source?
Yeah, no, there are. So some are using.
Because
So
I've
Tesla's
never
using
heard
vision.
of anybody that even has like
Wait.
a test model.
Well, wait, the company you just described,
Tesla?
Waymo.
Yeah,
is
no,
using
they're trying.
They're using LiDAR, are they not? They're not using vision. Tesla's using vision.
Tesla's using camera because LiDAR cannot give enough
Correct.
information.
And they're using LiDAR.
Yeah,
Now,
which is why they keep driving into
which
traffic.
Which is really fascinating. You have some car companies like.
Tell me the difference between the two really quick, me and the listeners.
Can you describe
low
LiDAR?
intensity. One is think of bats versus cameras.
There you go. That's a great analogy.
So more
Is
like
that-
a
Yeah, that's
radar
great.
where it's like hard
Yes.
objects being detected three-dimensionally.
Like when you back up on your car and it
Whereas-
senses an object. All right. So
Yeah,
Tesla
so it's
doesn't do
letting
that.
you know that there's something there, whereas Tesla is using cameras to go, there's a person there.
I actually
Now,
see the guy
whether
walking
it's a
that
across the
person
person
or
has
not.
a soft body that doesn't
Yeah.
get detected by
And
radar
we're not
very
supposed
well.
to kill people right now.
Exactly.
What Tesla
So some-
But hey, listen, let me talk
you
to you
have
about
some
making
car
omelets.
By the way,
companies that are using both, which I think is wild
And
to
I-
think that
well,
you've got
and-
both out there.
And Elon Musk said something about like they abandoned LiDAR years ago
They did.
because there's not enough information to make judgment.
That's correct. It
So
can't,
it
can't
like it.
learn
Like
on
in
its
a
own.
controlled environment, it can operate, but it can't make decisions.
Correct.
I'm not pretending to know.
That's where this
you
autonomous
are.
driving comes into play.
I am pretending to know.
You can't. You
Good.
Can't,
I'm glad it's obvious.
You can't. You can't pick that car out in front, the car behind, and the car to my left,
And you can't decide of
maneuver.
the three.
And see the soft-bodied
can't-
Aaron walking past.
It's easier.
Frankly,
and it goes,
I'm medium body. And it can't decide. It can't solve the trolley problem.
it cannot solve the trolley problem. It cannot.
And that I think that was his big point: is you
Yeah.
can't use lidar
Listen,
because
I don't think I can solve the trolley problem. What's
Oh, the trolley problem is not me. That's the answer. Whatever's not me.
That's right. It's not me. It's not
Yeah.
me. No. So it's here.
Yeah,
It's
everybody thinks they're the one pulling the lever on the trolley problem.
No.
No, you're the one on the tracks.
all
That's
on the
right.
track.
That's right. That's exactly right. It's just fascinating, right? I mean, we're in the last 20 years,
And we barely
we've-
understand it.
That's a fact.
How cocky are we? Hey, Michael, how does electricity work?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
Don't
maybe
worry,
Flip the
I'll
switch.
explain it.
I-
Listen,
we
there are
have-
plenty of armchairs in here.
Every
You're
time
right.
I turn on a light, I'm like, wow, magic.
wow. We have
When I
an-
turn
they're
on a
like,
light,
no.
I say it a little differently. When I turn on a light, I say, I did that.
Yeah.
Oh,
me.
nice, Thomas.
I paid
like
for
it.
that. I bought
Nice.
the house
Right.
that has the electric.
Thomas Edison over here. I did
And
that.
my
You know who
favorite is-
did that? I did that.
I did
That's
that.
what I tell my kids every
turned that
time.
on.
And my favorite is, oh no, it's just it's electrons moving in a positive. Oh, okay, so complicated magic.
Yeah, right. It's black magic box. That's all it is. We have a niece that's in her freshman year at Ivy Tech, and she is a phenomenal student. She wrote this paper for a professor, documented all of her sources, and she was accused of using AI.
Because it was too good.
It was too good. And he would not address with her why he presumed it was AI.
Yeah.
And she came to him and said, here are my sources. I've documented everything. This is 100% legitimate. I did not use AI to do this. And I shared
Nobody
this-
uses bullet points like this.
Yeah.
So I find
Sub bullet points? Are you kidding? That's the giveaway.
bullet points. So
I literally
find-
have the prompt built into my profile to minimize the use of bullet points.
So here's the issue. You've got AI in the marketplace. And then you've got individuals that are being presumptive with their thoughts that it's being used when in fact it's not being used. So we've got this, there's a really big storm that's brewing right now. And the storm is, did I use AI? Okay. Can you figure out if I used AI? Can you prove if I did or didn't? And
Innocent until proven guilty. That's our justice system.
That's
how it
for
works.
citizens.
yeah, that's not for college students. But so
No,
it just,
I wasn't saying it
brings
wasn't.
up-
I'm just
No,
saying
teasing.
it's not for like
But it brings up-
institutions.
Yeah,
It
they're
brings
not
up-
humans yet.
It brings up a
No, they
fascinating
aren't.
dynamic, though, doesn't it? Like, can you? You're saying I used AI. Prove it. How do you prove it?
Oh, well, you use software to prove it. And unfortunately, it's too easy to prove.
Well, I think right now it is. I think
Yeah,
it's very
it's
easy.
very-
to
Yeah, but you can never prove that somebody
Well,
didn't Google something.
That's
right?
it. Well, and that was her take. She said, "Did I use the internet to fact source my paper? Of course I did. Everyone does.
Yeah, I used AI to line edit a body of work, and just the line editing and correcting the grammar
Yeah.
took it from this might be AI to this is definitely AI.
Yeah.
And it was minor.
Yeah.
But it was enough.
Have you ever spoken with somebody in business or about business on a frequent basis, and you're like, huh? And then you get something written, and it doesn't sound like that. I mean, it
Yes.
sounds like light years ahead of where
Yes.
they are.
Isn't that
Absolutely.
the joke? You take bullet points, you have AI write a long email, people
this
take
happened
the email,
to Lori and
turn
I
it into
recently.
bullet.
Lori knows the individual, and I'm like, Lori's like, he doesn't talk like that, Michael, at all. And I said, he's using AI. And she's like, how do you know? And I said, look at the structure of the sentences and then simply look at how he talks.
Can I give you
So it
one
makes
of-
you wonder, right?
I had this with a
you
staff
did?
person.
Oh my God, I love it when you bring it full circle.
And I said,
Did we talk about him last time?
we did.
We did.
Yeah.
We did. And I said, you don't talk like this. This doesn't sound like you at all. Are you sure you're writing this?
Yeah.
So, okay, for all the
This is what I'm talking about.
grifters out there that are wanting to make use of AI, the first thing you do is you feed your profile with your actual writing.
Yeah, this guy didn't do
write
that.
material and you give it and you say, "This is my voice."
Oh.
And it will write it will write exactly like you. It will write exactly
This-
like anybody.
This wrote as if
But
this
if you
guy
don't
was a
write like
PhD.
somebody, the biggest giveaway is the rhythm of the sentences and
Heavens,
the
yeah.
paragraphs.
Yes.
It's so consistently spaced. That was one of the first cues that I realized was, hey, you need to break this up.
I like to use a mixture of short sentences, medium sentences, and long sentences, but mostly long sentences, but a lot of short sentences.
Give us an
I've
example.
encouraged
What do
it to
you- I'm
use
curious.
parentheses like bonus ideas.
I use ... Give me
The ellipses card. Yeah, I like it.
give me an example of short and long.
Well,
Give me-
Michael.
Thank you, Daniel.
I am
I'm
already
glad you
bored,
asked.
but go on.
I just want to understand what you're talking about. When you say long sentences,
I'm
and
glad
short,
you asked.
Do tell.
But when you ask such questions, I'm curious
here
where you're
we
coming
go.
from.
Here we go.
Because it sounds like you might be being a little too inquisitive.
For example,
And let me give you a Daniel short sentence because I happen to have that right here in front of me.
by the way, for those of you using humanize.ai, it's trash. All it does is make your grammar poor so that it seems less like it's AI generated, but it still comes out like AI.
Here's a short sentence from Daniel. I need to order some Matchbook coffee mugs or to-go cups ASAP. Yeti only, please.
I mean, that's clear
sounds like me.
communication.
That sounds like me.
the Daniel I know. I like that.
I'm very to the point.
I like that. That's a short sentence.
But I
like
also I write a lot, and
that. You do write a lot. You write more than I do. Does he write more
I
than
write
you?
more than anyone I know, literally.
Do you write a
No,
lot?
I know he does because obviously you do the newsletter. I'm assuming you do more.
I do. I write
Do you-
for work related
Do you
stuff.
handwrite or do you type all the time?
I type.
Yeah,
I
type.
Do you
I
keep a
can't
journal?
handwrite to save my life. No.
Do you keep a journal?
I do periodically.
Yeah, same. I come and go with it.
About 6 months out of the year, I'll journal, meditate, and read every day, and then realize that I'm just wasting my mornings.
Yeah, I feel that way sometimes too, and I stop. Do you go back and read your journal though, or do you just write in and
Yeah,
close it?
occasionally, but rarely. Like it's not even taking notes in college and grad school was the purpose was to take the note.
You're probably
I
like grad
never
school,
looked
aren't
at
you?
them.
Look at you dropping grad school in here. You know, we're talking about short
Because it's a
sentences.
different game.
Yeah, it is.
They're trying to overwhelm you.
It is a different game.
But what I realized was the attendance and the interaction of writing by hand was 90% of what I needed to process information. I rarely, and when I do look back at my journals, they're pretty standard and disappointing.
There's no great knowledge in there.
When I go through your
just
diary,
me
I feel the same way.
Yeah. That's
No great knowledge.
Well, that's what my Facebook group says.
Daniel, when you type out what all the things you do you go back and reread it, or do you? It's
Absolutely.
out there and you're done. You go back.
I have to.
I'm going to guess because he's very good at it.
Yeah,
I read his newsletter every week.
Thanks, Aaron.
I do.
Oh shit!
I mean,
All right,
you could do a better job, but
I need work.
Wait, what time of the day do you read it?
usually in the morning when
With
I get
coffee?
it. Yeah, is today free? Yeah, so I read
You know
it
what
this
we
morning.
should do? What we should do is grab a cup of coffee every Friday morning and discuss his writing.
I don't want to do that.
That's
I
weird.
want to do that.
I
That's
know
weird.
the coffee I'm fine with.
Yeah, I am too. It was just an excuse for coffee.
Do you even? I mean, you don't see it every time, right?
I was
Yeah.
about to give Daniel a compliment.
Oh, sorry.
And
Yeah,
it's,
give him a second.
It's almost the end of the year. I want to get this in.
He's got a quota of 3, so this will be the.
So my
Third
guess, I'm making a guess about Daniel, and it's a bit of a projection.
Yeah, please.
Daniel types, he writes, and then he edits obsessively. I'm assuming you freeball it, you get all the ideas out. You probably do some rearranging, but you strike me as somebody, because I know your creative and your thoughtfulness and your attention to detail, you probably go in and do something along the lines of, how can I say this in fewer words? And
He likes long
you
sentences.
edit to get the impact of the language rather than the word count. A lot of people write for word count. They try to use as many words as possible.
Do you do that?
Absolutely not.
No.
Do never
Does it-
write for word count.
Does it
Oh,
ever
no,
go
no, no.
Everything you described, Aaron, is exactly what I do.
You write what you're thinking, you arrange it so the idea is structured, and then you figure out how much of this can I remove to get to the point faster, because you know your audience is not there to be impressed by all the words you know.
Well, and what you will, so I do a variety of kinds of writing because I'm in advertising. So sometimes I'm creating a headline that is, the most important thing about it is that it's short, but that it communicates a lot. And then there are times where I'm writing articles for professional things, and those need to have a conciseness to them. And then there's the stuff that I write in my newsletter, which is essentially a satirical political blog. And I say satirical, it's real news with a tongue-in-cheek
that
take.
you shit on.
Yeah, a tongue-in-cheek take on something. So, and in that case, there is usually a little bit of meandering to pull somebody into the story.
Yes.
Which is bloviating. It is like spending time on an idea.
No, I see it as you're framing.
It is That's exactly right.
You're putting them in a context of, hey, so the other day I was at the coffee shop and I was wondering about why these different color creamer packages, and then you translate that into, here's a bigger topic.
This, not to make this show about me, but
okay, fine.
But okay, fine.
Read this morning's newsletter.
So no. This one is the one that fits our topic today. When I open a particular, the article is called The Semantic Web, and it's talking about the like button and the history behind the like button. And the opening is, everyone likes a BOGO deal. Short sentence. It was the defining feature of Payless shoes next to quality, low quality, that is, medium sentence. In its heyday, men wore thick black shoes like something a doctor prescribed, medium sentence. Kids traced laces for Velcro, short sentence. Any stitch of leather would be peeling off in a month. So anyway, it goes into this explanation of how BOGO deals were like this hook that Payless would use to sell shoes.
Because yes, it's a cheap shoe, but it's really cheap if you get two.
Yeah, and people would buy
that was her hook.
People would buy 2 pairs of shoes when they needed one.
God forbid you wore Pro Wings in middle school.
Right, that was her hook. Yeah.
And so, long story short, that is framing the whole concept of a like button. It's using an advertising tactic to hook people into something, and then somewhere down the line, which is explained in the article, the like button became this tool to how can we hook people like we did with that BOGO deal back at Payless.
So I've got an idea for you.
And then use it
I totally
on the internet.
And I remember those Payless BOGO deals. I remember being in the store,
Yeah, I remember malls and record stores.
Me too. And bookstores. I miss those.
God bless Orange Julius.
I do
remember books.
I remember a good Orange Julius.
Because you know what? Why don't we have more milk and orange juice beverages?
I know. Come on. I just came across, and you guys have probably seen this. It's been advertising on social media for the last several weeks that the second Friday of January is known as Quitter's Day. Everyone makes a resolution, typically, not everyone, but most people make a resolution for the new year that they're going to do something healthy.
Yeah, this is fake lore, but go on.
Yeah.
I'm doing a... a lot of people are doing a...
So this is for the losers who already broke their resolutions to recommit to losing.
This is for 95% of the people that break the resolution, and it's typically on the second Friday.
The second
Friday of January.
Yeah.
And
I think I'm going to be good with
Quitter's
mine.
Day. So I'm putting this out there to you because I think we should do some... I said something to Lori this morning about we need to do something fun around that logo, that phrase... Quitter's Day, because
I'm going to quit wearing supportive underwear.
Stop it. I thought you were going to say compression socks.
Well, it's compression underwear.
Yeah, but no, this is athletic garb.
Aaron, how many times have we been around people who have said, "I am going to go get my black belt," and they haven't even taken the first step of signing up for a class, right? Or I'm going to run a marathon, and I have yet to even run around the block. Or these goals are so audacious that you've got to crawl before you walk and walk before you run. But this is why
goals are for losers.
And this is why Quitter's Day happens on the second Friday of every New Year's. Because they're too big.
They're setting
audacious.
the wrong goals.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. It's too
all
audacious.
goals are the wrong goals.
Listen,
I agree.
Systems.
Systems, Aaron. I like it.
No.
Really?
This is true. So
I like a good spreadsheet.
just recently,
Just telling you.
our friend Matt Nettleton was doing a thing, and it was
Your friend.
Your friend. We don't know him that well.
I know him pretty well.
but he's not your friend.
No,
Okay.
absolutely
I know.
not.
Well, he'll be here soon, so I'll let him know.
Oh,
Okay, good.
Boy. Wow. Okay. Did you invite a guest?
Well, I have a few guests. I just wanted to make sure you guys were for serious.
You wanted to make sure we were for real.
I'm not going to embarrass myself with this
All right, go on.
amateur bullshit.
Go on with Matt Nettleton.
Well, so it was one of those your resolutions, you're setting goals for the year and
right.
stuff like that. Daniel, since we've met, I've always had a business coach. And by the way, your hair looks great.
Oh, thank you so
I'll be your
much.
business
I got a
coach.
haircut today.
I'll be your business coach.
Well, that's great. I always have
What
had
do you
one.
pay?
I like
what
one.
do you pay for a business coach? This could be my new offering, by the way.
Love and adoration.
Oh, shit. I don't want it. Go on.
So
You get that for free.
the good news is
I do.
every year,
Hugs, too.
and not necessarily New Year's, but every year something has me put in the list of what do you want in your day-to-day life and all that.
So what are you doing this year?
Well, no. So every
25.
year I always achieve all of the things.
Oh, boy. So you're an overachiever.
Well, hang on.
An under goal setter.
Both. Overachiever and under goal setter.
The only exception is some of the financial goals that I set, but I had a rough year, so that's
I'd like to make a full-time living. I'd
my
like to make a
excuse.
living wage this
Yes.
year.
I don't believe in financial goals, by the way. Just for the
well.
record.
And again, the purpose of the goal is just simply what would I want my life to look like to have solved whatever problems I think I have or whatever.
And
But
you've got a lot of problems. Let me tell you.
I don't. I got like 2.
Good hair isn't one of
I got
them,
like
though.
2 and they're obvious. Good
We
hair
know-
isn't
we-
one of them?
Good hair isn't one of them.
It's
Yeah,
not
good hair.
It's not bad.
Oh, yeah.
good hair
No,
for
I do
your
have
age.
good hair. I was like, I think I got good hair.
No, you got good
No,
hair.
good hair is not a problem,
No,
right?
right.
Is that right?
That's right.
Oh, I thought he meant like you
Bad hair isn't one of his problems.
Right.
Anyways, what's interesting, and this I will
set.
give this to CJ McClanahan after
I
15
remember
years.
CJ.
Whatever goals you set, make sure you look at them every day. So
Yeah.
every day at 5:30 a.m., I have a
I agree with
reminder go off with all of my goals,
Yeah.
and I look at them and I hit and I only look at the ones that I haven't met, and I check it off and move about my day. But the interesting thing is how like 90% of them get done just because every day they're on your mind.
Yeah, it's in front of you.
The system aspect, and this is something I got from one of Scott Adams' book years ago. Atomic Habits was based on one of his chapters, and it's the same idea of I want to weigh, say, this wouldn't be good for me, but I want to weigh 150 pounds. Well, that's a goal, and that's a terrible goal to set yourself on because every day you've failed.
Yeah.
Every day you don't weigh.
No, it's a destination. So it's a process.
For me, it's a milestone.
Right. It's a
Right.
process. Though.
So-
So every day's not a failure.
so 2
every
years
day's
ago-
working towards it.
2 years ago, I decided I was going to be a jiu-jitsu world champion.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
And then I spent a year
Chasing
training,
that.
competing, going to Master Worlds. Didn't do great, did fine, but didn't do great, didn't win. Because it was the first time I'd ever been there.
But you
and
competed.
And the point was, I don't think I'm going to be a champion, but I'm going to do what champions do.
Which is compete.
I'm going to train every day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to compete. I'm going to do strength. I'm going to do my diet. With almost everything, it's not if you just have a goal, I think it's very difficult to meet because every day you have to admit that you've failed that day.
Yeah, I don't agree with that, though. Because the goal, you're using the goal as the end game, saying I didn't get there today.
So if your goal is to lose 10 pounds, every day you haven't lost 10 pounds, you're a loser.
No, every day you're working towards it.
What I'm saying
Or a
is,
gainer.
hang on,
Or a gainer. True.
so maybe your goal is to weigh a certain weight, but the system, the thing that you focus on is, well, what does somebody who has a healthy weight do? Well, they exercise every day, they plan their meals. So you set up the system and every day you go to the gym. For me and my goal of competing in that context, it wasn't how am I going to be the best in, division, age, rank, all that. It was if I just go every day, then I'll get better.
That's my point. You're striving towards your goal.
And at the end of the year, how many almost 50-year-old men went and did jujitsu every day?
This is my point.
Very few.
Right.
Turns out more than I thought.
More than a few.
Well, yeah,
More
by
than
the
a
way,
few.
talent comes into play.
But that's my point, Aaron. I mean, a
But
goal
yeah, the
gives
goal
you...
is a nice thing to look at and go, it'd be nice if I had that. But the goal gets you nowhere. The
goal...
system of meeting that goal means that regardless of when.
Okay.
So what is the system is go
striving
every day.
towards
So,
it.
for example, if I
Train every
wanted to
day.
lose weight,
striving towards it.
actually, if I wanted to lose weight now, the first thing would be talk to your doctor about whatever
You gotta quit.
semaglutide.
The
You
first
gotta-
thing
you stop drinking.
you need to do is
one
admit
thing.
that you're wrong.
It's one thing if you
Admit that you have a problem.
You gotta stop
listen,
drinking.
If you're trying to lose 10 pounds, you can do it in a week. But if
I
you're
don't know
trying,
if you can lose 10 in a week.
Yeah, you can.
If
you
you're
definitely can.
you're
dude,
fat,
I could lose.
No, you could lose 10 in a week.
I
Either
can
one of
lose
us could
4 in
lose 10 in a
30
week.
minutes.
For the listener, these
how
are
much do you
some
weigh?
svelte bodies here.
How much do you weigh?
It's not. It's.
I weigh
a good number.
169. I don't think I could
You
lose
could
10
lose 10
pounds.
in a week. I guarantee
Well,
it.
Did you lose 10 in a week?
Oh yeah. Again, I can lose 4 in half an
Because
hour.
you have 6 pounds in water weight at
That's what I'm saying.
I'm going to put a goal
just
on the
from
table for the three of
today's
us.
food.
By next week, I want to see a 10-pound loss.
I'm
across
not
the
going
table.
to. Fuck that. I'm not doing that.
I'm not either. I don't think I could lose 10.
How much do you think I weigh?
How tall are you?
6'5".
All right, I'm
Hey,
6'2",
Michael, if you're not familiar with human history, people,
205, 210.
Yeah, 210,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
215.
All right, so 215 during the
on a
holidays,
good day.
but 210
210
is
on a really good day. 205 on a really, really good day.
on a super good day.
like I drank a lot but didn't eat yesterday
Like
kind of day.
I drank, but I didn't eat for the week.
No, I hover around 210.
That's what I
Anyways,
figured.
my point
It's
is,
good
say you want to lose 50 pounds, right?
Yeah,
And you don't want to
50.
take the shots.
Okay.
50 is a lot.
That's a lot.
And I know people who have lost over 100, and that's, I mean, That's a superhuman feat to
100
be able.
pounds is a person.
Yeah, because to lose more
Small
than
person.
a pound a week is pretty challenging over the long run.
I don't think if you lose massive weight like that in a short term that it's sustainable. I think you've crashed on something.
Depends, yeah.
Yeah, right.
No, but I
Right.
agree with you.
Yeah.
It's easy to fluctuate.
Can we go back to goal setting just for a second?
Yeah, here's my point.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Let me
Finally, he's
reiterate.
making a point, which is great.
I've been trying to make the point for a while.
No, it's really great when you make a
It's
point,
almost
Aaron.
4 o'clock.
I don't
Go
want to
ahead.
lose 50 pounds this year. What I want to do is go to the gym every morning.
Yeah.
I want to meal prep the night before. I want to decide the night before what I'm going to eat tomorrow and then stick with it.
Yeah.
And guess what? On any given day, maybe I fail. Maybe
Right.
today I didn't go to the gym. Maybe today I didn't eat
Right.
what I planned on eating.
Yeah, it
Right.
But
becomes
guess
one
what?
day.
Right.
But tomorrow I can win again.
Yeah.
And that's the
Isn't
important
that
part.
the purpose of goals? I mean,
So,
you just described. You
well,
just
okay.
added.
So I think let me just be the referee here.
Go ahead. Yeah,
I
because
would
we're not
say-
really arguing well.
I would say that the notion of a goal, your intention is that you're aiming for a destination
Correct.
with which you can move incrementally
Yeah.
towards.
On a daily basis.
But the way that human psychology works
Mm.
does not always fit that way of thinking.
Yeah, Lori
so
tells
you
me all the
essentially
time I
have to
don't fit
train yourself.
Yeah.
The fact that I didn't achieve my goal doesn't mean that I'm not doing things to get there.
You're not a
but,
loser.
But you don't have to even make that. You don't even have to do that take that step of convincing yourself. If you just accept that it's about a system and did I follow the system today? Can I
And-
follow it tomorrow?
And if you
Fair
hold
enough.
on to the goal, at some point the failure is going to feel overwhelming because you are failing forever.
Yeah,
Right?
I,
If-
yeah, I get what you're
150
saying. I get what
pounds.
you're saying.
So if you do the system, you give yourself a little bit of flexibility, a little bit of gentleness. And to your point, God damn it, lost it again.
Right. So I think we're saying the same thing. What I am saying is that when you set a goal, you move towards that goal incrementally, day by day, week by week, month by month to get there. Now, you will have ups and downs in getting there for sure. But if you've set a target there and you've given yourself ample time to move towards that, and CJ's awesome. I've sat in his goal setting seminars. I disagree with him on a couple of things, especially in the finance piece.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
which I'll come back to.
But just the idea
But the idea of you're saying process, and I'm
his
saying
whole
daily
point
activity.
was whatever your goals are, if you're not facing them every day, then you don't really have goals. You have wishes.
So the three of us know this, what I'm about to say. We've come across people that say, I want to be a millionaire.
Except 9/11 was an inside job.
They know.
But the three of us definitely know that.
100%. We've been around people that say, I want to be a millionaire, or I want a successful business, and yet they don't do a damn thing to move in that direction in any way, shape, or form, ever. They just sit there and say, I want it. Therefore, that's my goal. But I'm not moving, or in your words, I don't have a system to get me there, right? And so I don't like using finances as a goal because I think that is the end result of something else. So if I say I want
That's
to have X amount of wealth, okay, really? But how am I going to get there? Something else has got to derive that.
I would agree
right?
with you that the goal of I want to be a millionaire. Well,
That's
first of
silly.
all, millions
Yeah.
not what it used to be.
That's a fact.
Yeah,
So,
and
it's-
secondly,
in this economy,
so
forget
I
it.
want to be 100 millionaire.
yeah, exactly.
go on.
Please,
Sorry.
minimum.
I'm going to
Yes.
have dozens of dollars.
Minimum, he says. Dozens of dollars. Go
Yeah,
on.
but to your
Sorry.
point, breaking it down, go, okay, I want to be a millionaire in 10 years. All right, well, what do you need to do? Well, I need to put away $100,000 a year into my 401, because you
Right.
mentioned the 401k
Sure,
millionaire
sure.
is most common.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so I need to put $100,000 a year away. What is that going to look like? Well, it's going to look like
That's
$8
gonna hurt.
grand a month.
That's
Man,
gonna hurt.
geez. Okay, well, then you could also put in $100,000 right now
Right.
and let that mature over 10
That's right.
years. That would
That's
make a
right.
difference
That'll get you
too.
there. Sure.
That's a smooth move.
So, but yeah, you should just do that.
Why not? Yeah,
Eric,
I
can
was
you give me
playing golf with a
$100,000?
guy.
No, you should just go become like a viral influencer. That's what you should do.
We're back to the internet. I love it.
I was playing golf with a guy, and I had a perfect shot. And he goes, "Why don't you just do that every time?" I was like, "Actually, now that you mention it, maybe I will."
I think I said that to you.
The favorite mockery in jiu-jitsu is get up.
Oh yeah,
Just get up.
Just get up.
As you're getting like just
As my arm has
pounded
been
by a
snapped
wrestler.
off my shoulder. Thank you.
Yeah, you're smothering, struggling to breathe. Just get up.
Lori gives me a hard time often
Yeah,
about.
I know that.
Yeah,
You should hear the shit she says to me about you.
I think I do not think commonly when it comes to trying to get to a destination, a goal. I get hyper focused. Some would say laser focused. Some would say I become ADD on it. Like that's
I would say more LiDAR focused.
LiDAR focused. I get really focused in on that, and I just move towards it every single day.
Yeah.
And in good days and bad days.
But
right?
let me
I
ask you
never
a
let
question.
go of it.
If your goal is to weigh 150 pounds or
Yeah,
whatever
sure,
it is,
sure.
what do you do when you weigh 150 pounds?
That's the
it's
other
a great
part.
question. I get bored. So I'll give you let's stay with athletics because it's very poignant.
Fine, dunk a
what you're
basketball.
talking about. No. One day I woke up and I said, I want to shoot par golf, right? I want to shoot par. And I worked all summer at it and I shot.
Who's par?
Par is 72 and I shot a 69. And a good friend of mine, John, was with me when I did it.
Oh, John. Yeah, bless his heart.
John. And I did it, and immediately upon completing it, because Lori had heard all of the trials and tribulations of trying to make this happen, she said, "Now what?" I said, "Now I'm done. Like that was accomplished. What's next?" And I go through that a lot.
I'm with you on that. Because if you set the wrong kind of goal, you sort of hamstring yourself.
Yeah.
Versus, so for example, I want to weigh blank, right? And one of my favorite questions.
I want you to weigh blank too. If
By the way, I want you both
And
to
this
lose
is-
at least 10 pounds. I'm just saying.
Yeah, consider it done.
This is.
You're welcome, Gary.
She is not the one that will
We
want
apparently
that.
have one listener.
I'm sure. Like finally, you weigh something like a normal human.
There you go. Go on. Sorry.
Right. So we think, oh, if I weighed this or if I
Right.
had this, I think that's a very typical.
Yeah, if I had this, I
Yeah,
would
money
be
solves all
better.
problems.
And I don't know. It makes everything better.
It does.
It sure does.
Ken.
Anyway, go on.
Ken.
I mean, okay.
Ken.
Money makes everything better? No. So the point is when you set a goal, sometimes the goal can be undermining, can hamstring you because when you achieve the goal,
I'm done.
for me, usually the goal is what kind of person do I want to be?
Right.
And
150-pound person.
because I
is what I hear. This
because
is
I
good.
have very little self-esteem, not low self-esteem, mostly no self-esteem, which is great because if I can get to none, life will be wonderful.
I think if you
Yeah,
just
you'd
come
be
hang out
great
with
with
me
no
for a week,
self-esteem.
we'll get that all taken
no
care of.
self-esteem would be wonderful. But the point is,
I can hardly stand the guy.
I rarely have a goal that has a termination point.
Yeah.
So, for example, jiu-jitsu. Want to earn a black belt someday. I have black belts and stuff.
CJ would say that's a problem.
Some are meaningful. Some, in hindsight, are a little embarrassing. Not necessarily to me, but just
I
like
want to wear supportive underwear.
well,
But is that really a goal? If you can't accomplish it, is that really a goal? Or is that just a whimsical fantasy?
What do you mean
that,
if I can't accomplish
well, I
it?
want to be the world champion in jiu-jitsu or
I'm
whatever.
certainly capable of it.
Well, I didn't
yeah.
say you weren't.
by
I
the
don't
way,
think
I'm
you
not
can
saying
do
you
it. I don't
I'm not
think
saying
you can do
weren't.
it, Aaron.
No, I can. But hang
my
on.
point is,
but
if you
only
don't-
because it's striated. Am I using that word right?
Striated. It's striated.
It's striated by age and rank and
Yeah.
weight. So it would be the 45 to 50, 170 pound.
Okay, so here,
male.
I'm going to give you a reality check. If you wanted to be that, you would stop drinking, you would eat better,
Oh,
you would
no.
sleep better, you would get your ass in shape, and
No,
you would
hang
start
on.
kicking ass.
Well, and steroids for sure.
Well,
Because they're
that's
legal.
helpful.
They're
Or,
legal
you
in
know,
the sport.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
And everybody's on gear. That's not fair. Not everybody.
Oh, please,
Everybody.
Aaron.
Are you sure
There-
Daniel
Some
is.
of your listeners,
This is why
some of
Daniel's
our
too-
listeners,
this is why Daniel's
Hang
215.
on.
He's on
I don't
steroids.
object to it.
the muscles are huge.
I don't
That's
think
enormous.
I don't think I have the heart for it. Literally.
Oh, got it.
Physiologically.
Physiologically, my heart can't stand it. Got
Listen,
it.
I asked my doctor, I said, hey, if there's ever a safe combination of cocaine and steroids that I can start
Ooh,
using,
yeah, absolutely.
I am
I've got
all
a
in.
plan.
I like where you're thinking.
We've got a plan for
But
you.
it would ruin my life. So, in the point being, what kind of person do I want to be is a better question than what is the goal I want to attain. Because if say I want to weigh blank, well, you can weigh blank by getting cancer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of
like
ways you can meet your goal. But more importantly, if I were a healthy person, what would I do? Well, I would plan my meals. I would exercise every day. I would do this. I would do that. But to your point, when I went
crush it.
When I went to the World Championships in Vegas a year and a half ago,
And failed.
Daniel.
Didn't you? I mean,
Daniel.
I mean, I didn't win.
He didn't fail.
okay.
He
Well, then I
competed.
would-
That's half the
I would
battle.
say
You got there.
if
He
your
was
goal was
competing.
to be a
Man,
world champion, you
I am
failed.
only amongst the best.
Daniel's a harsh
I'm
critic,
only
man.
amongst
He's
the best.
harsh.
No, but he's right. Because
No,
that's
you didn't. No,
If I
he's
want to be
not
an
right.
almost 50-year-old
He's not right.
Hang on. He is right.
guy
No,
with
he's not.
droopy
He
pants
is right.
with
because-
crow's feet.
I don't know. I
He's
do have
not
crow's
right.
feet. But he's right.
No, he's
because
not.
that is the world that it operates in. is
Understood. But
How good are you? The
Listen,
answer is
did you
how-
get there?
Yeah.
Did you compete?
Yeah.
All right.
Did you win?
No. But
No.
could
You know why?
Could you have?
Because I was awesome too fast.
Could you have?
I should have.
Could you have?
Yeah.
All right. So if you were to redo this,
Yes. So anyways, the point was my first
There
experience.
is a point.
There's always a point.
hurry up.
God, I love you guys so
There is
much.
a point. No, let him make a point, Mike.
I want to
Bless
get
your
to.
hearts.
I want to get to the person
But
that you
what it
become
came
or
down
would
to
be.
was, okay, what I need to orient on is not to accomplish a specific goal. It's the how do I do jujitsu every day? How do I maintain my health and my strength and my physical integrity?
Right.
So a lot of things every day I do things like yoga and Pilates and whatnot because that helps
Classic.
compensate
Yeah,
for
I like
it.
it.
Well, it's the compensation for what
Other
the jujitsu
things,
is.
yeah, problems you have.
Yeah. So
Right. Can we back up for a second, or are you making the point?
my point
Are
is
you going to make a point?
when you have a system in place.
So I guess
fuck you both. Go on. No,
Here's what I would say.
You're right. Here's
what I
the
would
thing.
say.
Here's the thing. You're right.
Thank you. Listen, you touched on a
you
really
got to have a
concur.
goal. You got to have a goal. Is
You
the point.
touched on
My
a really
point
fast-
point
was
is you
the
gotta have
goal-
a goal.
The goal of being a champion is admirable, but the goal of being somebody who gets to do something that they love that challenges them every day.
Amen.
If I want to be healthy, then I
Amen.
exercise, I
Yes.
eat food, I
Yes.
rest, I
Yes.
minimize
So,
alcohol.
and what I like about your whole system approach
yeah, I'm
is that
so full of shit right now. I can
little bit.
tell.
we've got
a
an
little bit.
armchair for you. So,
But it makes sense. It makes sense.
I haven't eaten today.
oh,
I was
that's
like,
it.
why did I get so
hangry.
lit?
Yeah. When you have a goal, you get to the destination, and then it's like, okay, so now
To your
what?
point, you got par.
What's next?
Whereas,
How unrewarding was that?
There is far more value in life, regardless of whether you achieve a certain goal or not, to having the disciplines of someone that can get to that
Okay,
destination.
thank you. And that is
So-
the point, is
yeah.
the discipline of it.
Do you guys? I want to. You touched on something really near and dear to me, and that's about chasing your goal and becoming that person, or what's the person you want to be.
Who
you wanna be?
do I want to be going
And who do
through
I
this?
want you to be?
So I find that really interesting because
I'm very
when
needy,
I chase
so I'll
those
listen.
goals, it affects the people around me.
Do you find that its goals separate you?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Isn't that interesting?
So and Lori's, you guys know this. Lori's my dearest friend.
Because
She's-
people want you to
she's
do
my-
well.
Lori's also your wife.
Lori's my
one
wife,
of your
but
wives.
she's my best friend.
She's a
period.
wife.
She's everything.
She's
but when I
the-
go
the
through
wife.
this, if Lori were sitting here, she would give you a play-by-play of everything I've chased since we've been together, because she's had to sacrifice because I've sacrificed whatever it was that I gave up to
Poor
go chase
girl.
it. Right?
Does she
But
ever
do you
say?
guys-
Does she ever say, "Yeah, you're always chasing something, and I've had to bend to that"?
Oh yeah,
Okay,
all the time.
just wondering. I've never heard that
have you
before,
guys-
but I'm just wondering.
and it's ironic that you would know that, but never hear that before. It's
Yeah,
fascinating.
it just sounded
So
like something you were trying to say.
In the last 5 years in particular, through the pandemic, I've started to look at those things differently. Like, I don't want to do what you and I were just talking about, Aaron, which is I don't
doesn't
chase
remember.
a goal like a dog
he
on a
doesn't-
bone.
Yeah, he doesn't
I don't
remember.
want to do
so
that. I don't
remind him.
want to.
Can you repeat that, Matthew?
I don't want to be that person that puts Lori in that situation, or my closest friends, or my inner circle.
Us, for example.
Exactly. You guys are truly some of my closest friends. I don't want to.
David and Alan.
Matt. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to be that person, and I certainly don't want to put people through that anymore.
Well, that's because you're old
Thank
and
you,
dying.
Michael.
That is true. I am old and I'm dying, but I'm curious if the two of you have reconciled, because you touched on it, so I know you've dealt with this.
I've put my family through some stuff in my ambition, so
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been there.
and-
So,
By the way, everything my family has is because of my ambition.
Oh, yeah, same.
But it is a balancing act because
I drove by your house last night, by the way.
Did you?
Oh, and you didn't
Went over
stop
to
in?
Snug.
What? Why
son
is
of
it
a
that
bitch.
you,
I know.
listen, I feel like you need to communicate with us when you're out and
I know.
about. The
I know.
Bourbon Trail
I know.
is Snug.
I need to be
This is
more
bullshit.
communicative.
Unaccountable Daniel Herndon.
I know, I'm the
Unbelievable.
worst.
So give us an example of what I'm talking about.
So I've always been a gold chaser for the longest time in my life. You know, it's been something where every year I would even put some pressure on Carrie, my wife, the wives. And
I heard you
the
say
wives.
gold chaser. You said goal.
goal. Yeah.
No, because I was like, that's a
It's
very
like gold.
interesting
It's
way
like
to
gold.
phrase it.
It's like
but,
gold.
But I immediately knew what you meant.
That's gold.
I would every year I would say we have to set some goals.
Yeah, I would do this.
And maybe
Why?
even, I'd write them down and all this stuff. And some years I would achieve them, and some years I'd be like, man, we got so close, but we didn't quite hit because
Yeah.
maybe our goals were too aspirational or whatever. And in 2020, the first time I ever came up with a New Year's resolution, because I never do that, my New Year's resolution, my goal was to have no goals.
Oh, I love it.
And I achieved
and
you
you
do it?
failed
Literally
miserably.
nothing.
Did you do it?
Oh, I had no goals and I achieved nothing. It was great.
Wow. I can't do it. I physically
And I haven't
can't do it.
achieved anything since then.
Well, hang on.
because what that did for me is that that created an opportunity for me to not tie everything to one idea. And
Yep.
and when you set goals, which
I get
I'm
it.
still connected to the idea of setting goals.
Yeah,
I'm
me
not
too.
against it.
Me too.
But when you set goals, one of the things that you have to do is you have to set aside anything that gets in the way of that goal.
That's right.
And there are times where an opportunity presents itself and you can't seize it because it is maybe a
in the way.
fantastic thing, but it is in conflict with your goal.
It's in the way.
And so you don't
Right.
live in the moment. You don't take advantage of the things that are presented to you. And I think that, if you look at what most people achieve, it's opportunistic and it's not always tied to a specific goal.
I agree with that. Well said. I totally agree with that. Go ahead. There's
He has nothing.
a dear friend of mine, Steve Langton, the former CEO of Charles.
Empty bucket.
Steve was the former CEO of Charles C. Brandt Construction, and he was a mentor to me years ago. And I still reach out to him and bounce ideas off.
LinkedIn?
Steve Langton,
Yeah.
good dude. And when we were going through a growth stage, or maybe we had an employee, I don't know, whatever we were going through in business, I would always reach out to him and have a conversation. And goals came up one day, and he said, I don't do it. I said, what do you mean you don't do it? He said, I don't believe in it. I said, what?
Yeah.
He's like, Michael, my business is transactional. Where my customers go is where we go to build projects. If I put on paper, I want X, do I stop working with the people that are taking me all over the country, or do I focus on them because they're the bread and butter of our business? And I just remember thinking to him, wow, that's crazy. I mean, I set goals. And he said, what happens when you don't meet them? Well, I get upset. I get frustrated. I get agitated.
Why would you want to be upset?
Right. That's exactly what he said to me, Aaron. And I thought, shit. So I have taken more of an approach, like you were describing, Daniel, which is there are goals, but I don't do the CJ process. I've got his forms where you lay it all out, your financial goals, your health goals, your physical goals, your partnership goals, etc. I don't do that anymore. I have an idea of where I want to go, and I kind of just move in that direction. And I keep moving towards that direction. But what I don't do is put the blinders on and eliminate everybody because that's the direction I'm trying to go in.
Yep.
I try to embrace, because I really do believe this, that things in this crazy world happen for a reason beyond our understanding. And if I am so blinded with a goal, if I don't take time to look what's around me, maybe I'm missing something that helps me get to where I want to go.
That's
so
a good point. A goal can blind you.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Especially if you get fixated on it.
Oh my gosh.
Like a dog on a bone is a term that I use a lot.
That is totally me.
Yeah, you use that term a lot.
I like that dog on the bone.
Like that.
Well, it's because you get that grip on it, and all of a sudden nothing else matters other than
for the listener.
not
He's acting like
go.
a dog right now.
His tongue is hanging out. His tongue is hanging out. He's
very attracted
There's
to
drool.
these furry toys. Yeah.
No, I agree with you, Aaron. I really do. Hey, listen, we've got 15 minutes before I have to vamoose, but I'm curious, what kept you guys up this week? Did anything keep you awake? Christmas, holidays, work, partnerships?
Lack of exercise.
Oh, yeah, that's a good, When
I don't, so I
mean, you laid in bed and thought about it, like, shit.
No, I couldn't sleep.
Oh, even worse. That kept you awake.
Most days I have an hour of exercise in the morning and then 2 hours of something in the afternoon, and then everything else is work.
All you did was eat and drink.
More
or less.
Yeah, more.
More drinking than eating, I think, in this case.
Well, yes. Also, but less than I have in the past. But what's interesting for me is when I don't exhaust my battery on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. You don't sleep.
I could sleep 5 hours.
And you're talking about your phone battery, obviously, because this is an internet
my physical battery
episode.
Yeah, like I yesterday I was thinking, hey, maybe I'll go for the first run this year, just to burn off some of this energy, because my family has a hard time with me bopping and bouncing around the house. Like,
they would like you to fall asleep.
Why don't we all go rock climbing today? And they're like, you can go fuck yourself. That's what you can do.
Nice try, Dad. Get the hell out of here.
So we were going to eat cinnamon rolls and watch TV all day.
Right.
We'll nothing kept me up. Nothing kept me up at all. There was one night.
Anxiety-wise? No.
Nothing. Zero. There was one
That's awesome.
night where I woke up at 3 a.m. for no reason whatsoever. I was thinking about something random that had nothing to do with work and nothing to do with life stresses or anything like that. And it was like, I don't know, woodworking or something. And so I was just like, you know what? I'll get up. And so I got up and I stayed up and enjoyed the day. The entire day, and then I crashed at like 10.
Yeah, good for you.
That's it. And other than that, I forgot what day it is, because this is the Christmas season for those who are hearing this at another time.
Season.
We're all officially closed.
I literally forgot what day it was
me too.
after our last recording, which was on Friday.
Yeah, me too.
Today's a Friday.
Isn't it
so
delightful?
Ever since,
awesome.
isn't it?
It is.
I mean, are you going to sing a Christmas carol to us, Aaron, or something?
I want to stay in
weather.
Oh boy, this is delightful. I did something
I was
that
an
I don't
excellent
like
singer until puberty. I'm serious.
No,
I was in
believe
performance
that.
groups and stuff. Yeah, it was great.
Oh boy,
Most beautiful
I knew you were a
soprano
show
you've
choir
ever
guy.
heard.
staying in tune.
Oh
with
no, barbershop quartets,
Oh,
brother.
that's even better.
Like
Really?
the cool group.
Really?
Oh,
Did
yeah.
you guys have the matching jackets or shirts?
We had
or
the little straw
I'm
hats.
sorry
Oh,
to
yeah.
be the one to tell you this.
Wow.
That wasn't the cool group.
Well, if
I
you
did
knew,
something-
if you knew all the sexual offers I got as a middle schooler, it was
From the other three guys.
from grown men. No,
Our topic today is tech or all of
It's something.
right. I did something that I don't really do. I was reading
this
my
a
book the other
confession?
night, and I just usually when I read, I kind of fall asleep, and I kept reading. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm pretty wide-eyed awake. Pulled out the iPad. I probably lost 3 hours of my sleep just by being on the iPad.
Wow.
I went down that rabbit hole.
that
of,
light. Yeah.
Yeah, and here's what happened. I closed the book. I set it off to the side. I turned the light off. I'm laying there, and my mind's racing. And I don't want to deal with what I'm racing with. I'm thinking about business and finances and all that crap. And I thought I needed a distraction, so I grabbed the iPad. Next thing I know, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, what the hell?
It's almost like it's engineered to capture attention.
Interesting.
It is.
Yeah,
It
I
is.
switched to audiobooks because I used
think
to
I'm gonna
Kindle.
I'm going to start doing that because that's ultimately
And I
what
was up all the time throughout the night
So
reading.
did you? Oh, okay.
So what I did is I switched and I bought special earbuds that I could lay on.
Yeah,
'Cause
I just did that for Lori.
I'm out much faster. There's something
But
about
what
it.
happens to the audiobook? Where do you know you left off?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, good point.
Mostly they're books I've already read.
Got it.
They're books I enjoy, books that I can drop in and out.
Yeah.
And frankly, it's almost always that the narrator, and in many cases it's an ensemble cast, so it's more of like a audio program.
Got it. Yeah.
Because reading used to be my go-to.
Mine too.
And then I switched to Kindle because I didn't like it. If I turned the light on, I was going to be up for hours.
Yeah. That's the problem.
So the Kindle, I could do the black with the white text and all that.
I do like Delta 8 gummies. They put me to sleep pretty well.
Really?
Yeah. I take one every night.
Interesting. I
love 'em.
would not have
I'm
guessed
familiar
you for a
with
Delta 8 guy.
sociopaths.
What were you saying? I'm sorry.
I wouldn't have guessed you for a Delta 8 guy.
Lori
He's
put
more
me-
a THCA guy.
I don't like
Yeah.
the THC. Lori put me on the Delta 8s like a year ago, and I took one and I was like lights out. And I typically, if
You
my
might like
mind's not
CBD
racing,
too, if you like the Delta
I've
8.
done the CBDs.
Yeah,
They're good.
I didn't like the Delta 8.
like
It
the
very
Delta 8.
much was dissociative in that.
It's like a 25 milligram.
I just
and
felt
when
like a
you-
balloon
when-
following my body around.
I've never
when you're laying in
enjoyed
bed
that.
and you're just kind of, man, it just. It
So,
feels good.
you know what? I have not taken any kind of, marijuana type thing
Right.
for sleep.
Yep.
But what I have done is taken it at
do
other
a lot of
times.
coke.
So I've had
I do cocaine and go to a fight club,
CBD
but that's
gummies,
normal.
THC gummies,
Right.
at different times, and smoked marijuana,
Yeah.
and never does it give me an enjoyable experience.
Oh, that's not
Really?
good.
But what it does do, when it does anything, most of the time it's literally nothing or nothing noticeable. But what it does do when there is some kind of reaction, it is, I literally just forgot what I said a minute ago.
Oh, wow.
That
And
is
that's it.
that's a Saturday Night Live skit from about 15 years ago.
Is it really?
It's a game show for potheads called What Did I Just Say?
I'm Googling that tonight.
No, it's great.
I'm watching that.
And
Thank you.
they'll do something. What did I just say? Everybody's like, I don't know.
So if your mind is racing, then maybe it is a nice supplement to reduce that.
Well, and that's-
because literally, I don't remember if my mind was racing a second ago.
Well, I was going to say for me, that's definitely something I've enjoyed about it. Turning my brain off. And that's something I've learned only lately in adulthood is how much I enjoy being in my body versus being in my head.
Yeah.
I've lived my life in my head.
Yeah, me too.
But some of the physical things that I do now that I did not do my first 25 years of life are so enjoyable because they force me into my head.
Yeah, I agree.
Martial arts being a big one.
Yeah,
When somebody's
cycling is that for me.
Yeah.
For sure.
When you're being strained to the point where I can't like wonder about
When
a
physical
conversation
exhaustion,
I had the other day.
That's right.
Because something
Yeah.
is happening
Yeah.
that
And
is.
that's why I do woodworking, because it occupies so much of your brain
You-
that it
you have to
removes
be
your
focused,
attachment
yeah.
to
Yeah.
all the other things that
I
have
love
been
that.
weighing you down.
I love that.
My favorite Norm Macdonald joke. Did I say it last time? I feel like I might have.
Probably.
Well, it'll be good timing as we close this out.
So Norm Macdonald, he said, my psychiatrist told me that I gamble so that I can escape the pain and discomfort of everyday life. And he said, Doc, I think that's why anybody does anything.
I think that's great. It's a perfect note to sign off on.
All right.
is.
Love you, brothers.
Love you too.